welcome to this week's edition of the Talking Crap podcast. I'm, of course, your host, the life coach, Lucas Jackson. I'm joined by my lovely co-host, of course, Jazzy Josh Porter, and later on we will be joined by our special guest for this episode, the Rock God TJ Riff. So, how are you doing, Josh? It's fucking hot, isn't it?
Honestly, that last recording session we just did, I was dripping. It was horrible. I could have filled up my can of drink again.
No, we're experiencing some of the hottest weather the UK's ever seen in these next few days. It's going to get worse. And yeah, it is becoming really uncomfortable. But look, we're here to give you the hottest podcast edition. We're also here to give you the hottest news and talking about the summer. It is fitting, of course, that we're going to be talking about SummerSlam first in our news bulletin. So SummerSlam last week, it was reported that Vince McMahon was looking to do it on a boat or on a beach. This week it comes to us, this comes from Big Dave himself, that SummerSlam, he's looking to host it in Atlantic City, New Jersey. And the caveat that he wants fans. At the moment, the limit indoors for events is 25 people, and outdoors for events is 500 people. Obviously, social distance has to be maintained at times. I know, obviously, it's weird because over here, we're not running shows. Events don't exist anymore.
We hardly allow you to go to the room with someone.
But I mean, Americans have gone back to kind of running events, of all sorts: entertainment, comedy, music, and obviously wrestling. So it doesn't seem too thing, but I think it would be an improvement if they were to do it. What do you think?
It's a tricky one because obviously, like you said in the UK, we're barely doing anything. We're going backwards if anything.
Seems that way.
Like. They're talking about closing pubs again so they can open up the schools. Like, it's quite bizarre. In regards to where they're hosting it, I think they need to go back to the boat idea. Forget the crowds. Just be on a boat.
I really like the boat idea. I think it would have been really unique, different for them.
Or worst case scenario, just on a beach.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether this whole 500 outdoor, because I know there's different states have different limits on this stuff, and with obviously New Jersey being a kind of favoured state, would say it's that favoured area for WWE. New York, New Jersey, that area. Whether that is, and the appeal, I guess, of Atlantic City being obviously a busy city, they're thinking maybe that might be good. I think obviously it's kind of hard because obviously the Performance Centre's hosted all WWE events basically since March, and so it'll be just unique seeing it somewhere completely different altogether, I'm guessing. Obviously they've had Money in the Bank ladder matches took place at HQ. They've had obviously cinematic matches like the Swamp Fight take place outside of the PC and the bar fight too, but recently. But they haven't done like an actual show just anywhere else. So I don't know whether that's helping. I think 500 people could be nice though. It's small, obviously, for a WWE crowd or even for any kind of television wrestling crowd nowadays. But I think
it's big for an indie show.
Yeah, it is, and I guess it will still be the biggest kind of wrestling event probably this summer if they were to do that. And I think it's better than the Performance Centre trainees making the crowd up. But we'll see. We'll see. It's one of those, but they haven't announced it yet. But there's only 2 weeks to go to it, and they haven't announced anything. But hopefully we get some more clarity next week, whatever. Next up, one for you, Josh. Impact have announced a 2-week event that they're doing called Emergence. This goes down on the 18th and 25th of August. They've already announced the main event for night 2, and that's the Impact World Women's Championship match between new champion, the virtuoso, please excuse me for butchering his name, Deonna Purrazzo. Please, someone will correct us, I'm sure. She'll be taking on Jordan Grace. And then they have got for night 1, I believe they've announced this for. I don't think it's the main event, though. The Motor City Machine Guns, new tag champions, are faced the North. Of course, were the record-breaking setting champions before, weren't they? So 2 rematches from the latest event. But I think it was a way to go forward. But this already follows WWE/NXT doing NXT Great American Bash over 2 weeks.
And AEW
doing Fighter Fest. And these special kind of events that are kind of occurring, I think they're pretty cool, personally.
I'd say so. Like just not even having a pay-per-view. They're looking and going, well, we've got no crowds. We might as well still have a special event and just be lazy and draw it out. Just decorate the place a little.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, like with no fans, obviously, there's no difference between. This is why obviously going back to the SummerSlam thing. Like, there's no difference between Impact or WWE running a TV show or pay-per-view at the moment. Just other than just the name or the pay-per-view, essentially.
There's no physical appearance.
Yeah, the physical appearance
difference.
Which obviously, hopefully, I mean, WWE have done a good job, I think. Well, they're good in terms of making it look different or feel different, I guess. But they're usually where they're crazy booking. But yeah, I think it's a good idea having this 2-night event. Particularly as well, it's either side of the SummerSlam weekend, so it's 1 week before SummerSlam, 1 week after it. So I think it's nice that they know a lot of people will be talking about wrestling, and it's the week before the next AEW event, All Out. So it's all kind of a nice stretch really for wrestling fans then. I'd say, with Impact, WWE, and AEW all kind of giving you some action. And obviously more matches will obviously be confirmed for it, I'm assuming, as Impact rolls on. So next up to discuss our last bit of news, it does look like we are getting likely that Adam Cole, Bebe, will be taking on Pat McAfee at NXT TakeOver 30. They haven't formally announced this, just before people kind of shout at me. They obviously, this stems from the talk show angle they ran a few weeks ago, where Adam Cole stormed off and hit a producer and stuff. And they've just recently had a pull-apart brawl on this week's edition of NXT. I haven't seen it, but
I have. Pictures. It was glorious.
What's your thoughts on this? Because McAfee's he's a celebrity. I mean, it feels a bit, for me, it feels a bit weird that Adam Cole, who was record-setting champion for a long time, and I'm guessing they wanted to take him out the title picture, but to kind of go and have a match with a celebrity, is that something we saw happening?
It's weird. We've had celebrities in matches before. My favourite one being Steve-O, and I can't remember his name. The guy from Jackass who went up in a match against Umaga a few years ago.
Yes, back in that 2007, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a great one. That was hilarious. But it's bizarre seeing a record-setting champion suddenly jobbing with a celebrity. Like, I understand he's recognised as one of the greatest in his division in the NFL, but to go and end up randomly going against the former champion that's also a record setter, it's a bit hit and miss for me.
I mean, obviously, why I don't get into this whole ratings thing. I mean, do you think maybe there is just a shift to get some ratings? There is obviously there has to be some crossover appeal, surely.
Maybe, yeah.
Tune in and watch it and just steal some viewers from AEW. AEW, by the way, as well, they are having a few weeks where they're not going to air on Wednesdays because of the NBA. So there'll be a few weeks where NXT will have episodes that AEW won't. They're either going to air on a Saturday or on a Thursday. So I see how this all fits in a way. Everybody's hoping to kind of just go, right, we've got a NFL star who's going to be in segments and in matches potentially. And obviously if AEW is not on, people might just turn over the channel and see, oh, I like Adam Cole, I like Keith Lee, I like, insert NXT wrestler here. But it just feels very weird for NXT to do it because it's something they've never done.
No.
I've been on NXT for quite some time because their format for takeovers has been the same for a long time, and only the last time takeover they broke it up. They had the women go on last, and still the show. Like, I don't think that's debatable really. The women had the best match on that takeover, and they were last. And they haven't deviated from it. But they only had a theme show last time in your house, which are different. So perhaps we'll get something different at NXT TakeOver 30.
I mean, it's meant to be this massive event because the logo is almost identical to WrestleMania 30 with 3 X's. So maybe they have a stage like that as well. But I think what's definitely going to bring in the ratings is that punt kick that McAfee did to Cole.
We'll clear with that, sorry, yeah.
Randy Orton does do punt kicks. But imagine an NFL player recognised for having some of the best punt kicks in the NFL, then doing that to someone's head. You can imagine it will probably hurt.
But yeah, well, look, more on this as obviously the weeks go on, and we'll see if Pat McAfee does end up facing Adam Cole and what other matches take place at that event. So we've got a big period of wrestling. We will be giving predictions and stuff for the NXT and for SummerSlam and for AEW. So we'll have lots of predictions and episodes of The Viewpoint coming up. But anyway, let's get on to our episode for the week. So we have a guest joining us this week for the Weird and Wonderful World of Wrestling edition of Talk Crap. We are joined by former British Showcase and Chaos champion.
Everything but tag team.
Yeah, the tag team so far. We're joined by TJ Riff. Hello, TJ.
Hello, how's it going?
All good, all good. I'm understanding in lockdown you've been doing a lot of gaming, from what I'm hearing.
Yeah, that's right. I've started my own gaming channel. It's called Titch Vision, and it's it's a gaming channel, also a reaction channel now. I just recently added a reaction video to the latest animated Batman film. So if you want to check it out, come see your channel.
What was the latest animated Batman film?
It's called Batman Death in the Family. It's an animated film. It's an animated one.
Oh, I must have missed that. I haven't seen anything for that.
Oh, it's a trailer online for it. Here you go.
Oh, that's why I've not missed. That's why I've not seen it yet. But yeah, if you guys want to check out TJ's channel, I'll leave a link in the description.
Yeah, we're sure maybe we can do one of those fancy things at the bottom for it, a little link.
Yeah, I'll add a little headline for it.
We'll work that out.
We've got the budget for that.
We've got access to Microsoft Word, yeah, that always helps. But anyway, we know how we start. We start with you, Mr. Porter, and the Pipe Bomb promo challenge.
Okay. The way this works is pretty simple, TJ. I will give you two topics. One a wrestler and or championship, and one being a place. Like a place with a match, obviously. And it's pretty simple. You've got 1 minute to give us a promo based on those topics, and you'll be scored out of 10. 5 points for me, 5 points for Lucas. Make sense?
I think so, yeah.
Good enough. That's always the reaction I like.
He's also representing my team.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's also representing my team, so no pressure.
The first non-DKW guy on the show, and I managed to get them. So, you understand the rules?
Yeah.
Yeah? Perfect. Well, your two topics are, you'll be facing AJ Styles for the X Division title in TNA in an elevated X match at Destination X.
Alright.
You ready?
Yeah, let's give it a go, yeah.
3, 2, 1.
Okay, AJ Styles, listen up, because I'm going to take that X Division title away from you this Sunday. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you one thing, because I am good with ropes. I am good at traversing any kind of structure that anyone can throw at me. No matter what it is. It could be as tiny as like the little strings, shoestrings, or it could be a trapeze that you could fly from on a circus. No matter what it is, I am ready for you, AJ Styles. No doubt about it. I'll see you this Sunday.
Ooh, not bad, not bad. 42 seconds. So just shy of time. I'll go first, because you went first last week. It's pair. Last week, Lucas. There we go. It's a tongue twister. So yeah, a little bit short of time. Not majorly. but there is nothing enough that you'll lose a point for. But other than that, the content was there, minus the fact that I think you don't know what an elevated X match is.
Elevated X match. Oh.
Elevated X is the cross above the ring that you got to push each other off.
Oh yeah, that's what I got it mixed up with the other one. The
Ultimate X.
Ultimate X. I got it mixed up with that.
Yeah. Oh well. We were doing like weird gimmicks in the wonderful weird world of wrestling, so I figured I'd chuck in a weird gimmick match. But yeah, other than that, it all made sense, so I'm gonna go with a solid 3.
Okay.
Ooh.
Lucas, your turn.
It's a shame because you have to lose the point because of the it's our rule. You have to lose the point because you go to time.
No.
So heavily representing my team. I like that you got the word traversing into a wrestling promo. I think that's just that. I just like that. And yeah, despite not knowing what the match was, and I also got confused with it at first. Yeah, I'll go for 3.5.
3.5. So at the end of that, you've got a comfortable score of 6.5. So you're second place so far, but you are first place on Lucas's team.
Yeah. You're the only person in my team.
So therefore, you're first and last.
But right. The wonderful, weird world of wrestling, and the way we do this like we did last season. We had one of our most successful episodes was the overrated and underrated workers episode. Please check that out if you get a chance. And
ignore what I said.
Room 101 style. So what this means is we separate it into 6 categories, and you and Mr. Porter will have a pick for each category. You'll have well, let's go with 60 seconds basically to argue your point to me, and then at the end of hearing both arguments, I'll decide which one I feel argued the best and which one wins. At the end of it, one of you hopefully will win, and the other one will lose. Everyone both understand the rules?
Yeah.
Quite simple, I guess. Yeah. We talk shit basically.
Hey, that's our specialty.
Yes. The first category is about debuts. I thought we'd start with debuts. It's the first category. So the weirdest and worst wrestling debut. This can also include, by the way, a debut of a new character. So if someone has previously wrestled at one moniker and then has gone on to become another moniker, that can count as a debut for that character. And they can be from any wrestling promotion in the world. And yeah, let's go. Let's start with TJ. Your 1 minute starts now.
Okay, so the weirdest debut has to be from WWE's St. Valentine's Day Massacre from 1999. It was Paul White, otherwise known as The Big Show. He interferes in the Vince McMahon versus Stone Cold Steve Austin's cage match, where if Stone Cold wins, he would actually go to WrestleMania. Paul White comes up from underneath the ring, and he beats up Stone Cold. He wants to interfere. He wants to help Vince win, but what he does is he throws Stone Cold into the cage, and he literally lets Stone Cold win, which makes him look pretty damn stupid, to be honest with you. Like, it would have worked anywhere else. It would have worked anywhere else except for Stone Cold, because Stone Cold has to go to WrestleMania to fight The Rock. It would have made no sense if Big Show actually beats the crap out of him and actually makes Vince win. So, it would have worked anywhere else. Paul White could have interfered with another opponent, but here it just felt unneeded. It felt weird, and it made him look really stupid and really look weak.
I think.
Okay. Yeah.
Exact same situation, but just not Stone Cold and McMahon. And yeah, I think you'd be right, it would work still. But to add a bit of context, when you said threw him at the cage, he throws him at the cage and the cage breaks. The wall comes off, Stone Cold rolls out. And on Stone Cold's podcast, yeah, it was one of the old cages, yeah. But the old cages are better than the new ones. Probably safer now, but the old ones were nicer. And on Stone Cold's podcast not too long ago, he had Big Show on there, and they were talking about how Big Show was actually late to get into the ring, which I find quite bizarre.
This happens quite often, though. Yeah. It happens quite often, people being late, missing a cue. Look at WrestleMania 8, isn't it? With Papa Shango refusing to come down to the ring. All right, look, let's hear the other side then. Who's your pick then, Josh, for worst, weirdest debut? You have a minute. Let's start now.
So my one, we're fast forwarding a few years for Suicide in TNA, now Impact Wrestling. So Suicide wasn't actually meant to be a real person. He was a video game character in the TNA Impact Wrestling video game, which I've only played 4 years ago, like a good almost 10 years after it came out. But Suicide's a video game character, and then about a month or so later, just no kind of real warning, a couple like vignettes here and there, and just kind of appears for no reason whatsoever. I thought it was quite bizarre. That's about
it. Okay. Two interesting choices. I am surprised that we didn't get a Shockmaster mention in this. Though I probably wouldn't have given the Shockmaster. I do feel bad for Ottman with that. It wasn't really his fault.
It wasn't really a weird debut. It was just a bad one.
Yeah, it was both. It's bad because it's weird because it's bad. Bad because it's weird. It's one of those.
It didn't help. We're talking behind him as well, like the size thing. Oh, this fucking for ass.
It's hilarious, but it's been well covered. I think it's hard because Suicide kind of just happened. I'm vaguely kind of remember this in my kind of mind from when it did happen. It kind of just happened. Big Show's debut. It's interesting. It's created like almost like a meme from it, I'm guessing. Like, and it is memorable, but it was bad. I'm going to clinch it here and give the point. I'm going to give the point to you, TJ. Only just though, because as much as Suicide's debut was just like meh, Big Show's debut massively messed up, I'd say. So first point goes to TJ.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, it's good though.
Yeah, well, it was a close one, that. The next topic, then, is the weirdest gimmick or stipulation. Just to clarify, guys, this is the actual stipulation, not reflecting the match quality. So the actual stipulation or thing they had to do to get the match or anything like that. So we're going to negate the fact that there's a match took place, but the weirdest stipulation or gimmick. And let's start with Josh this time round.
So I think this match only happened once.
Okay, that's usually a good sign. How are you looking at it?
But that being said, has my 60 seconds started? Because you didn't announce it.
It starts now.
There we go. But yeah, I think there's only been one. And I don't blame them for it only being one. But that being said, I'm going to WCW with the King of the Road match.
Oh,
where they're in the back of a truck, having to fight to climb over obstacles and like hay bales and walls to ring a bell to win the match.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
I don't think you need to say any more about this stipulation other than the fact that it was pointless. It was like redneck war games, but with a bell.
And then it led to Dustin Rhodes getting fired. Goldust getting fired. He bladed in that time when it wasn't allowed. Okay.
I think he would have quit after that match anyway. I would.
Awful match, absolutely awful match. I think you're going to have a hard job here, TJ. I'm thinking of this. What is your pick then? Your 60 seconds starts now.
Well, I'm also going to go WCW, and I'm going to go with the Chamber of Horrors match, which the stipulation is you have to put someone into an electric chair and literally kill them. You have to literally kill them. So many people in the ring, and it was so confusing. It was an absolute clusterfuck. And I tell you what, you had Sting, you had Cactus Jack, you had Lex Luger, Abdullah the Butcher, who ended up getting fried at the end of it. And it just all looked really, really weird. The cage looked strange, and it's just a stipulation of it. Oh, literally, you have to kill someone to actually win the match. And plus, like, it was, what was it, 2 teams? How many teams were in it? Just 2 teams, yeah? It was.
Yeah. It was.
I don't remember, if I'm honest. I haven't watched it in years.
Yeah, but yeah, it was just really. To me, it was just really bad. I think it was just really poorly done. It never would have worked.
I think this is the thing. It's weirdly quite current now, because we've had a situation where obviously we've come out of the horror show Extreme Rules, where we've seen obviously someone lose their eye, and so this was a match which obviously had the same kind of thing with an electric chair, which I think particularly around the 90s, that kind of period, like people were aware of people on death row and this kind of thing kind of happening, and so I think it's one of those matches as well where when you look at the competitors, you're like, well, Sting's not going to get in a chair, is he? All the other top guys not going to get in a chair. It's going to be Abdullah the Butcher getting in that chair, and so one of those matches where they booked it around one spot.
Imagine Scott Steiner getting in the chair. That would have made him worse, wouldn't it?
Imagine him having to do a promo in the chair. But I think at least it was kind of in a ring.
Yeah.
Which for me kind of helps. I know it sounds really weird, like it being in a ring in front of fans helped. I think the fact that they did a match on a fucking trailer or something like that, I'm gonna have to give it to Josh on this occasion. But Chamber of Horrors, please, people, don't go out and watch it.
It's terrible.
To be fair, I don't think there was any other match that could have beaten mine.
No, I agree. I got it's fair. You won.
I'm glad that I got to go first, because I was really worried you'd pick it as well, because it just seems like the obvious one.
I think though with WCW you've got a large pick for these ones, for these stipulations, weird things. Judy Bagwell on a pole, Bagwell on a pole. You could have any of these on a pole matches, which I think that kind of probably needs its own episode.
They were very 50-50, weren't they, WCW? They liked their serious wrestling, but they also didn't care if it was comedic.
Exactly.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's the best of both worlds.
Once Russo got involved. Right, the next one, obviously this one can be seen as being a bit subjective. I know beauty is in the eye of the beholder, people. But it's going to go straight on and say it. It's the ugliest championship belt. Now, for this one, we are going to be excluding any one-off championships. So we're excluding a one-off championship, such as a $1 Million Championship. And
that wasn't an ugly
because
belt.
They weren't mainstream. So ugliest championship belt. We'll start with you, TJ. Your 6 seconds starts now.
I'm going to go with the current Intercontinental title belt. The thing is, it would have worked if it was on NXT, but it isn't NXT. It just looks really out of place. It looks really, really, really weird. The Intercontinental title has been around for like 5 decades now. It's been like nearly for half a century. You think WWE would have cared to give it a little bit more prestige, you know what I mean? The last belt looked really, really good. It took you back to like classic old days of WWE, and even the belt before it looked great. It figures the backward state of evolution. Like a good belt, great belt. You know what I mean?
Reverse Darwinism.
Yeah,
Natural selection.
Yeah. It's just a really, really ugly belt. It doesn't suit the color scheme, and plus, as it's on SmackDown as well, like it just doesn't suit it. It doesn't suit the. It would have been better if you brought it to NXT, but it isn't there. No, I don't know.
But I mean, it's hard because they've made it so that the brand belts now, of NXT, have the colours. So you got the Raw tag titles are red and SmackDown tag titles blue. Yeah. Does that kind of make it look even worse? I guess because they've established that, and then it's just that this belt doesn't fit those rules. It's hard. Yeah, I get your point about NXT too, and I think it's an interesting. It's a current belt as well, which I was surprised that people mentioned current belt. But let's see what Mr. Porter has to say. Your 6 seconds will begin right now, sir.
Okay, so I was going to go with the original Universal title belt, but I changed my mind.
We would have lost, but okay, good.
Yeah.
Soft spot for that belt.
Or I was going to go with the AEW Women's Championship, but then I realised it's not an ugly belt, it's just too small. But I ended up, and it was a mainstay title, it was only used for 2 people, but that was TNA's Jeff Hardy's Immortal World Championship. That was one ugly ass belt. Because it would tell me, don't get me wrong, Jeff Hardy designed it, and had that been like one of his paintings, it would have looked good. But as a title belt, it just didn't work. It looked like a seahorse with a human face. It was just such a bizarre title.
I'm worried that you're going to get a picture, just to pre-warn people, if Josh has put a picture up of that belt and you eat your dinner, I'll be apologise.
There were 2, so I might put them both up.
It was a horrible belt. I agree with you, TJ, though, about the IC Championship. If it was to be an NXT, or even New Japan, or even AEW, because they kind of have this thing where they like these legitimate kind of titles, I think, it would fit in. It doesn't look too out of place on its current holder, though, which I guess sways it. Like, I guess AJ Styles, he's a serious wrestler, and people respect him and love him and admire him. And that Jeff belt, the minute he said it, I was like, that belt was disgusting. That design was awful. The Universal Championship I really like. I've always liked. I mean, I've sat in the
I think it was just too bright when I first saw it. The red was too
it looks
in your face. It does look better in blue.
And it seems
Oh.
I think it's hard though. It's hard to reveal belts though in this day because the internet exists, isn't it? Like you wouldn't have had that 20 years ago with other belts. And the IC belt, it's definitely a downgrade from the white strap. And they did a big deal about bringing it in when Miz, I think Miz was the one who brought it back. Hello, kitchen.
Yeah, possibly.
Miz was the one who brought it back, wasn't it? In like 2013, I want to say.
Something like that.
But I'm gonna go with Jeff from TNL, mate. That's just the horrible championship, and really poor when you consider that the spinner belt was at least popular with kids, and obviously maintained its stay afterwards.
I'll tell you one that wasn't far off though. John Cena's United States spinny belt. That was a bit of a weird one.
Yeah, but at least it was gimmicky for kids. I mean, if you got a Jeff Hardy belt, then they should kill their parents. Just a horrific design, I think. But moving on from killing to our next category, which is the most distasteful storyline. So you've got a lot to pick from, and I've written a few down, which if you do get them, then I will, definitely probably be awarding a point to both of you, as I felt they were really above the line. So we'll start with TJ, this one. Most distasteful storyline, 1 minute starting now.
I think the most distasteful storyline for me is the Piggy James storyline. I think that, be a star, be up, rise above bullying and stuff like that. This was really, really bad. This was awful. Like, just because they thought that, Mickey James put on a bit of the weight, it's like, is that the reason why you tried to do this to her? Like, she really didn't deserve this. I think Michelle McCool wasn't even cool with this either. I don't know why they went with it. And the fact also is that Mickey James didn't get Michelle McCool didn't get a comeuppance for it. Mickey James shortly left after it, which meant that the closer is that the bad guy won because of bullying. It was just so low, and it was personal as well. It was personal because the fact that they thought that she put on a bit of weight, it's just undeserving, I thought it was really, really bad.
And I think it was one of those things where she left the company, I think, about a year afterwards, and I think definitely that would have been at the forefront of her mind. awful storyline, which was similar with the comeuppance thing of another storyline, which I don't think Porter would choose it, so I'll just say it now. The Triple H Booker T storyline, where there was kind of that racial undertone, and Triple H won at the end. It's like, I mean, I'm on the fence whether you can offend people so much. I think that's fine to an extent. Hills have got to be hills, but then good guys have got to win. And I think this storyline, the Piggy James stuff, was another occasion where people might have forgiven it a bit more if Mickey had won. But it goes to show, though, we've gone from obviously that in the women's division to what we've got now, which obviously is 10 times better all across the board. Right, Mr. Porter, 1 minute, starting now.
So my one, I don't remember everyone's names from the people that were in the storyline because it was a fair few years ago, but I'm going back to TNA with this one. I noticed that I think all of my guesses except from the first one have been TNA.
Gimmick stipulation, yeah.
Yeah, but that being said, I'm going to have to go with, it was a storyline between AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels and Frank Kazarian and some woman whose name escapes me. But essentially the whole concept for this storyline was that AJ was on his way out at that time, I think. But so Christopher Daniels and Kazarian are like blackmailing AJ for weeks on end, and then they finally come out with this woman who's pregnant, and apparently it's AJ's child. And they reveal the pictures that they were blackmailing him with, and it's pictures of AJ and this woman. But later down the line, it turns out that this woman drugged AJ to take the pictures, and she wasn't actually pregnant at all. I thought this was like a soap opera storyline in wrestling, and I could not see how this wasn't a controversial storyline, and how no one, like, this is like similar levels to Snitsky kicking a baby across the arena. But this was just not on for me.
We got a couple of decent matches out of it, I think.
Yeah, the matches in it were really good. Yeah. But the storyline surrounding them was just kind of brought them down.
This is an interesting pick. I'm not too familiar with that Impact storyline, so I'm basing on what you've said. And obviously, if we think about comparable storylines they've done, where they've done, last year WWE did the whole cuck angle with Mike and Maria. I would argue that was probably more offensive, I guess. I think the soapy stuff, like, because I think they do it so soapy, it's usually, even though it's bad, it's more bad because it's bad, not bad because it's distasteful. Whereas I think the Piggy James one, I think particularly, if you're looking at history of women's wrestling, and obviously, fair enough, you've got the stuff with Moolah way back when, you've got the whole sex sales and bra and panties stuff, and then and I guess you can go, okay, those are all products of their time. But you're talking about Piggy James happening, I think 2008, 2009, which I just don't think by any means is acceptable. And I think, the fact that she left the company afterwards because of it, and that we're still talking about it now, I think it goes to show. And I mean, yeah, I'd say that. Yeah, I'm gonna give it to TJ. I won't go to TJ. So you've evened up, I think, with that.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. 2 for 2.
So our next category, our penultimate category, is we're going to do a funny one now. So obviously I've had a bit of distaste there. Funny one. So the funniest backstage segment. I love these personally, some of these ones, and there are some top ones that you could pick. I'm hoping that you do. Let's start with you, Mr. Porter. 1 minute starting now.
So I couldn't think of many, but I was going to go with an in-ring one, then I realised it's backstage. But for me, one that just, I don't know why, but it really tickled me. It was when Seth Rollins was having I think a post-match interview or just an interview. Dean Ambrose, this was right around the time of like the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge, where you tip a bucket of ice water over your head and then donate money. Dean Ambrose pours a bucket of ice water over Seth's head. Seth turns round. Dean Ambrose goes, and I quote, "What? It's for charity," then proceeds to throw the bucket at his face and attack him. I don't know why, but that really made me giggle.
It's Dean Ambrose. He's crazy. He's wild. You never know what he's going to do. It's so unpredictable. Yeah, I remember the segment. Yeah, it's a funny one. It's a funny one. Dean Ambrose had these kind of things. I think with the one, it wasn't obviously a backstage one, but the one when he just came out with a hot dog sound or something.
Yeah.
And just started squirting like the Authority, I think, with condiments. But that was quite fun. That's some of these fun kind of ones, I guess. Right, TJ, your 1 minute then for funniest backstage segment begins now.
My funniest backstage segment is between Edge and Kurt Angle. I think it was around 2001 at some point. It was when Edge was showing Kurt Angle the great times he had, but the camera saw, but Kurt Angle didn't saw. It was words that came out from the back of the picture saying like, "I really, really suck."
Yeah,
it's true. Also have a tiny willy. Something like that. I just thought it was just really genius. It's like there's not many comedy things. There's not much good comedy from WWE, but this was actually genius. It just made me really, really laugh so much. And Kurt Angle's just on point when it comes to comedy all the time. It's like, so many great moments, like him playing guitar and stuff for Stone Cold is brilliant.
Yeah.
I thought this one was really on point. Edge really sold it as well. Yeah, I really thought it was just really, really funny. Yeah.
The moment you said Kurt and Edge, I was kicking myself for not thinking of that.
Yeah, I mean, he's done you there. I think. Yeah, I think as much as I'd love some of Ambrose's crazy shenanigans, you never know what's on the come, and I think, like, props to him for obviously doing whatever shit the WWE writers are thinking of that week. I think the Angle and Edge stuff, it's really smart comedy, which rarely exists in wrestling.
Yeah.
Like, it's very just smart comedy. Like, it's the kind of comedy which you can imagine, like someone like a Rowan Atkinson kind of coming up for like very much like Mr. Bean-esque, I think it's comedy which it's timeless really, because it's still funny now. And Angle, it's definitely a very good comedic performer. By the way, I would have accepted any R-Truth segment, would have been a good answer. As you know, I love R-Truth. And I think some other standouts from this have been like anything Stone Cold did in like 2003 when he was the Sheriff of Raw, and he was backstage with anyone at any interaction he did basically.
He called Chris a creepy bastard, didn't he?
Yeah. I don't know, because it wasn't backstage, on the stage, but when he started calling Lance Storm boring, I found that hilarious. I think anything he did basically was just quality. But yeah, the point goes to TJ.
Yeah.
So we enter the final round now. So TJ's got 3 points, and Josh, you got 2. So you could even it up. You could even it up, or you could just lose. So the final one is, I don't like using the word worst match, but we have to kind of say it can be implied that way. Worst or least enjoyable or funniest, whatever you want to say. Just pitch me. What is the worst of the worst? Let's start with Mr. Porter.
So mine was a TNA match. Again, another TNA segment. It was Jeff Hardy versus Sting. I think it was Unforgiven, possibly. Victory Road, that's it. It was Victory Road for the TNA World Heavyweight Title. It was painful to watch because we were talking about bad, distasteful storylines, and currently Jeff Hardy and Sheamus are in a storyline where they're talking about Jeff's demons, so his drinking and drug-related past, and this Sting versus Hardy match is right in the middle of when he's going through one of his phases. But he was either high or drunk, I don't remember, during this match, and you could just tell he had zero energy. He didn't know where he was, and he just didn't know what he was doing. And Sting had to carry this entire match. And props to Sting, considering he was like in his 40s, in his 50s around this time. So normally he's having to kind of 50-50 it, like you're meant to, but he's carrying this entire match with Jeff Hardy not being able to do anything. and you could tell there was a point in the match where they just kind of had to end it on the spot. So I think that was the worst match for me.
Okay, well, a tough one. Let's go to Mr. TJ. 1 minute starting now.
Probably for me, it was at WrestleMania 20 between Goldberg and Brock Lesnar. It was so freaking underwhelming. Both these two were going out the company at this point. I first watched it when I was like 10, and I was like really into wrestling. I was loving it. It's like I thought like, oh, this was really crap. I was like, it should have been much more. It could have been more of like, I was expecting more like a brawl, a bloody bust up or whatever, but it was just nothing. It's just nothing there. It's just a few grunting, an overly long lockup. Not many interesting spots, other than the fact that Stone Cold was in there being a referee as well, and
he salvaged it a little bit, Stone Cold.
He did. The fact that the crowd needed a pop at the end, he just thought, "Sod it, it's going to stun both of you," and that's it. And they have beers in the ring. And that was the highest point in the match, where in fact Stone Cold literally stuns both of them, and having beers in the ring, and that was pretty much the high point of everything. Other than that, the match was absolute complete rubbish.
Ooh, harsh finish there. These are two different. These are bad for two different reasons, which is interesting. I think Brock and Goldberg, obviously, they just gave up, and they were on the way out of the company at that time and didn't give a shit. Jeff Hardy, Sting had to obviously deal with something which I don't think anyone really had to deal with. That scenario, and how Jeff even got in the ring, that's another part of this argument too. Brock and Goldberg, I think there is still now. WWE have obviously completed their kind of story, with a much better rematch and WrestleMania program that they worked in 2017. I cannot believe that's 3 years ago already. I think that there is still some enjoyability factor from that match. Because at least if you're watching it, you can kind of enjoy Stone Cold. The crowd are hot as hell for it too. Where the Jeff and Sting one was just bad business all round, I'd say. The fact that Jeff was able just to get in the ring, that just says a lot sadly about TNA's status at that time, but they decided to do that. So I am going to give the point to Josh.
I've actually won something.
Which means it means that you drew.
We did drew. Yeah. I didn't lose one.
So
I'll take it.
I had something in plan. I have a plan in case this was to happen. So right now you're going to get each 20 seconds, just 20 seconds, to pitch me, a mad storyline a match that you'd like to see on the SummerSlam card for this year. This year's SummerSlam.
When you say mad, like weird or?
I just want the craziest idea known to man. You have 20 seconds to pitch me. By the way, they have to be wrestlers that work for the company. Okay, and they have to be alive. So no Chris Benoit coming back from the dead. It can be cinematic. It can be whatever it needs to be. But I want the craziest idea, suggestion from each of you, and that will help me determine who has won. Yes, Josh.
If they work for WWE currently as a wrestler, can it be a gimmick that they didn't use in WWE?
Yes.
Yes? Fine. I'll take it.
Yes. If they're employed by WWE, they can be whatever you want to be.
Any gimmick that they already had.
Any gimmick from any era or new gimmick you want to create for them.
Sweet.
And you only get 20 seconds to be very tight with this. So we'll start with, because you were the person who drew, we'll go with you then, Porton, first, starting in 3, 2, 1.
So, pitch this. It's 2 weeks before SummerSlam. Jeff Hardy is finished with Sheamus. But this has broken him to the point where this crazed alter ego that TNA fans know as Will-O-the-Wisp comes back to have a Firefly Funhouse match with Bray Wyatt at SummerSlam. SummerSlam,
that's the name of the pay-per-view. Okay, I like that one. I kind of knew where he's going. We mentioned Willow in our private conversation before, so yeah. Let's go then to TJ. 3, 2, 1.
I think that they said that they're gonna probably put SummerSlam on a boat. I say no. Actually, just let's have a match on a cruise ship. Let's have a match on a crazy cruise ship, and just let R-Truth defend his title. Always have a guy.
Bastard.
Like beating up each other like across the ship. Maybe throw a life raft or something, and then Lilos and get involved in the pool, and then it just
and time. I think that was above 20 seconds of both of those, so that's why I had to go.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I lost the moment he mentioned R-Truth.
Sadly, I like both ideas. If you had said the Firefly Funhouse from a boat, oh my god, I would have ejaculated on screen. I would have literally finished me off.
The one time I would have had to censor something.
R-Truth on the boat. That's straightforward. WWE, book it. So your winner after the tiebreaker is TJ Riff. Well done.
Come on.
I'll give you that.
And look, it's been great having you. We've just discussed some not so great wrestling. If you want to check some of that stuff out, do it at your own peril, I guess. For the next 2 episodes, we will be talking about the man, the myth, the legend, the icon, Le Champion, YJJ, the Idol of Rock and Roller, list everything about him. We'll be talking about Chris Jericho, joined by some very special guests over the next coming weeks. TJ, remind us of your YouTube handle again before we go.
Yeah, my new channel is called Titch Vision. Again, it's a gaming channel and a reaction channel. It's also on Facebook and Instagram as well at TJ Vision Insta, and it's a gaming channel. And yeah, please come subscribe and come support the channel. And yeah,
and you will see right here, the link is back.
It's quite magic. Well, thank you guys. It's been fun. Stay alert, stay safe, and we will see you all on the other side.
Bye.